All right, hi everybody. I am extra excited to be sharing some astrology with you all today because I am launching officially my business today, which is called The Fool and the Chariot, which is my astrology and tarot and magic business. And I'll get into why today is a good day, or why Aries is good energy for starting new things. Yeah, I'm bringing in that confidence. So today I'm going to talk about the full moon in Aries and this fall equinox that just happened as well. I'm going to talk about this intense square aspect that's happening with Saturn and the Sun and the Moon in the cardinal signs of Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. And then we've got a square also going on between Mars and Uranus and Venus in the fixed signs of Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. So I'm going to get into all of that. And this is going to be this video today is part of the series that I'll continue to do, which are these new moon and full moon videos. If you are super into these and wanting to know more about what's going on throughout the weeks, I just launched my Patreon today too, so I'm going to start doing weekly astrology forecasts in addition to the new moon and full moon videos. So the new moon and full moon videos will probably start being a little bit shorter and a little more specific about the moon, and then those other videos for $10 a month, you can subscribe to access all of the full. There'll probably be about 20 minutes to a half an hour, and really we'll get into all sorts of different kinds of aspects and things going on for the week. And then additionally, if you're into all of this and wanting to be learning more about astrology and tarot and follow other kinds of things that I'm going to be doing with this business, I also will be having a series of videos each week about different topics. So like introduction to the zodiac, or evolutionary astrology, or working with chakras, or yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. So definitely check that out. And if you're interested in having your own birth chart read, I do personal readings that can either happen in person or through video chat. And you can shoot me a message or email me now that I have official email at thefoolandthechariot@gmail.com. So let's get into it. So we just had this fall equinox 2 days ago where the sun moved out of Virgo. We've had a pretty intense, humbling Virgo season, you know, at the end of the summer there. And throughout July and August, we had the eclipse season, lots of excitement, lots of drama, lots of conflict and intensity. And then the sun and Mercury both moving into Virgo, I think, gave us this opportunity to sort of like cool off from that, get ourselves sorted, get ourselves organized, and get ready to start moving forward again. And this, there's a lot of this kind of like forward moving energy, which is really exciting, and I'm going to get into all of that. So Sun and Mercury are kind of traveling along right on top of each other. The exact conjunction was 2 days ago on the day of the equinox, which is really beautiful. The Sun sort of being like the core energy available, and Mercury being the processing of information, the way we communicate, intellectual energy. And so those two working together in Libra Libra definitely brings in this like lightness, this it's the first sign in the zodiac, you know, Aries through Virgo is sort of like figuring out the self and figuring out identity and figuring out, you know, basic primal kind of like needs and desires and all of this. And then in Libra, we sort of like, it's the first time that we open up. Virgo's sort of like refining, getting ready, and then Libra's like opening up to relationship and balance. And this is, you know, kind of along the mantra of like, we are all one. Libra is about fairness, it's about compromise, it's about collaboration and partnership and objectivity. And so, and Mercury being there also adds to this capacity to really think objectively, to zoom out, to have sort of this like cool approach to all of this. And it is the cardinal air sign. So though it sort of has this like lightness about it, it also has this really power. Cardinal signs are like initiative, starting kind of energy. So it's like an agent of fairness, and an agent of equality, justice. It can definitely have a really sort of like headstrong capacity to it, and it's sort of like the connector of one person to the other, the mediator. Libra's like a great sort of like mediator in between kind of vibe. And so we've got that going on, and it's a perfect time for us to be sort of opening up, because as we move into these darker, especially up here in Vermont, into this darker time of year, turns out we really do need each other. So it's before it gets too intense with the Scorpio season coming up after Libra season, we have this opportunity to sort of in this light and kind of lovely way start to begin sort of like reconnecting again after this year of really intense. This last like half year has been a lot of planets retrograde. It's been a lot of introspective. It's been a lot of revising. And now it's sort of like, all right, let's start making this happen. So we've got that going on with the sun in Libra. And so the full moon, moon is in Aries, full moons are a time where the new moons are a time of sort of like amplified certain kind of energy. So the sun and the moon both on top of each other in a sign, and this really fertile time to set an intention around the kind of energy that's being brought. And so the last full moon we had was in Virgo, so intentions around routine, around health, around groundedness, around capacity to be discerning. And so the full moons are these times of tension. So each spoke of the zodiac sort of manifests or outlines these two kind of extremes of a spectrum. So where Libra is me and you in balance and perfect harmony and in air and compromise, Aries is like me. Aries is like the most self-centered, and none of these things are necessarily that. We are all living out this spectrum together. So people who have their sun in certain signs might be offended by that concept of Aries being self-centered, but that just means that there's like a lot, the experience of life is really through the self and through the confidence and the courage and the assertion. Aries is the cardinal fire sign, the first sign in the zodiac. So it's this really creative, guttural energy. And so there is this moon over here in Aries opposed to the sun, and Mercury in Libra is like, okay, we're gonna, we're gonna balance this all out. We're gonna find some way to meet in the middle. We're gonna hear all sides of the story. And the moon in Aries, the moon being our emotional needs, and the moon also right now being conjunct on top of Chiron, which is retrograde. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. It's this area of really like deep wounding, but from deep power, because from our areas of deep wounding come our greatest sources of power. Our most potent power is sort of what astrology articulates, which I think is so beautiful. And so we're having this wounding around our understanding of ourselves, our self-confidence, our capacity to be direct, to say what we need, to communicate our emotional needs. While Libra's over there trying to, in the sun and Mercury and Libra are just trying to maybe tidy it all up, make it all look and feel, and everything's balanced. It's all balanced. And on the other end of the spectrum, we're having really intense personal experiences of like, what do I need? And so, yeah, there's definitely like an intense tension that exists particularly between these two signs of the zodiac. Aries, again, being the first sign, and Libra being the first sign where we break out of self. So, trying to find this balance between our own personal desires, our own personal needs, our own personal like trajectories of life, and these different areas of compromise and balance, and ultimately the two ends of the spectrum are most effective when there's this capacity to like integrate. So as sort of echoed in the Leo Aquarius axis, there's this concept of like interdependence, that like if we are all being our most confident, straightforward, direct, assertive versions of ourselves, then there's the potential for us all to fit together like a puzzle. And so there is the potential to be balancing out these extremes. Aries is extreme. Aries is can be reckless. It can be fueled and motivated by anger, conflict. So sort of echoing and emphasizing all of this is that we also have this Mars, who just started moving retrograde a bit ago, is still moving back over the area that it went retrograde, and it's like re-encountering Black Moon Lilith and the South Node of the Moon. And so again, there's this woundedness we're re-experiencing, and hopefully we dealt with a lot of that the first and second time that those engagements happened. And now, as we're moving back over, hopefully we're learning how to be direct and how to be assertive and how to be confident, and what we can be learning from conflict and anger, and that conflict and anger and tension are actually really essential points for transformation and change and growth. And so yeah, there's definitely like this woundedness around just our own personal self, our own paths and our own value that we each bring. So the other thing really like pinning this all down and adding this extra layer of intensity is that the moon and the sun are both square to Saturn in Capricorn. And so Capricorn is the cardinal earth sign. So we've got in this square cardinal air, cardinal earth, cardinal fire. And Capricorn is Saturn rules Capricorn, and so Saturn in Capricorn is very powerful, and Saturn is authority, Saturn is structures, physical structures. Saturn rules the third dimension, so the limitations of the third dimension, also the opportunities of the third dimension. So we've got these two, this tension of like compromise and balance and beauty and harmony and disruption, the moon over here, disruption and anger, and my quest and my story is sort of like held in check. Both of those are held in check by realizing that, Libra can have this sort of like idealized version of what things look like, and Aries is so raw, and so Saturn sort of grounds both of it and is like a mediator almost between the two, but it's a way more sort of like serious, like wake up, step up, be your own authority, take care of yourself, make the changes, the structural changes in your life that you need to make. Saturn's now moving forward after this long period of retrograde also. So with Saturn and Mars both moving forward, it's like a really awesome time to be taking risks and taking leaps, as long as those risks and leaps are like understood in the context of everyone else. So, you know, just like normal life, when you're doing something, hopefully we're thinking, and we don't always do this, but hopefully we're thinking, how is this impacting the other people around me? Is this fair? Am I just trying to get what I want? And I think the Chiron moon conjunction in Aries can be kind of like needy. Like, these are my needs, this is my desires, this is what I want. And the Sun and Mercury in Libra are kind of like pulling on that and saying, you know, maybe try and see what it's like to be bringing and trying to bring an element of fairness into all of this. So yeah, if we can make it through this with our egos and our relationships not necessarily intact, maybe transformed, but still able to do a thing for us, then I think we'll be in really good shape. And we've got Pluto starting to move direct very soon on the 30th of the month, and then Venus goes retrograde in Scorpio. So this like Scorpio vibe, Pluto ruling Scorpio, and then the Sun moving into Scorpio after Libra. There's this really dark, transformative, magical kind of time that's going to be coming down the pipes. And so if there's a thing that you need to start or do or initiate, now is the time to do it before the Venus retrograde. So that feels pretty good for today. Yeah, if you're interested in learning about how these things are affecting your own personal chart, we all, our own birth charts. What I'm looking at right now is basically a birth chart for the exact time that this full moon is at tonight, and it just all of these like different tensions and things at play. Like when we're each born, we have our own unique chart that maps out areas of flow and areas of tension and areas of ongoing conflict within our own lives, and it's just like so incredibly helpful to be working with those different energies that we have, and like validating the darker, more confusing, more conflicted areas of our lives. So yeah, to be more empowered. So I think that's gonna do it for today. So yeah, thank you all, especially thank you to folks who've been watching these videos and who've been verbally letting me know that they mean something to you. This is like the only, I don't know, putting yourself out there in this way can feel kind of crazy, and I just quit my job and I'm just gonna go for it with this magic stuff because it's feeling really good. So any way that you're able to support through the Patreon or just through following my page and seeing what comes up is super awesome. And hopefully you can catch me around town somewhere. I'm doing on my website, which is also live today, I have a list of all of the different events where I'm doing tarot and astrology readings. So yeah, definitely get yourself to a place where you can be getting into that really primal, fiery, confident space, so you can show up as your whole self in community with this Libra energy through the rest of the month. All right, y'all. Love y'all so much. Hope everybody has an awesome day and a really powerful full moon.